And we are live. Hello, good people of YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. I am Osas, your host, and today we are going to be getting started with building our WhatsApp clone. If you did not see the previous video to this one, please check it out. It's a demo video of what we're going to be building in this series, where I go over all the cool functionalities that we're going to be building. For this episode, our main focus is going to be on creating our Xcode project, importing our assets, and building the main tab view component scaffolding. And which is essentially this bottom component right here. There's 5 bottom tab items. So should be a lot of fun. Let's get started. First off, we're going to create our Xcode project. And to do that, just make sure you go into Xcode. Make sure you select iOS app, right? We're going to go next, and we're going to call our app WhatsApp clone. Okay? Make sure you select the interface of SwiftUI, and the language is Swift. We're going to go next, and we're going to create it on our desktop. Looks like our project is created. Let's make sure that, yeah, actually it's working. I was going to say, let's make sure our SwiftUI preview is working, but everything is good to go. So generally when I'm getting started with a new project, personally, I like to just import the assets if I already have them right away. And in this situation, we do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is roll in our WhatsApp assets. So if I move this out of the way, I have a couple of icons, colors, background images in this assets folder that I'm going to be providing to you guys in the link in this video, below this video. Okay, so with our assets imported, I would like to go forward and create the WhatsApp app icon. And to do that, I'm going to use a free MacBook app called the Icon Set Creator. You can look for it online, but you really don't have to worry. I'm going to provide these assets in the link below the video. But I'm just going to show you the process of how I use to create my app icons whenever I'm creating clone applications. So I'm going to go on Google and search up WhatsApp app icon. And honestly, this first one looks pretty solid to me. So I'm just going to say save image to download, right click on it. I'm going to pop open the icon creator desktop application. And then I'm going to go into my downloads and I'm just going to drag that image into there. Boom. I'm going to save it to let's save it to desktop. And that's it. Okay, so if you open this iOS folder, so whenever you use this icon set creator desktop application, when you're done generating your app icon, it's going to give you an iOS folder. When you double click on that, you're going to have your app icon, your actual app icon. And so in this situation for us, I'm just going to drag that right into our assets right here in Xcode. I'm going to delete the old app icon and I'm going to rename the new one to be the new app icon. And just like that, our app icon is done. Now let us run it and make sure everything is working as expected. Okay, so I'm going to expand this to be full screen, and with our Xcode running, let's see, it's taking a second. Boom, look at that. We got our app icon going, and it looks pretty close to the actual WhatsApp app icon. I think we're good. The next thing on the agenda for us now is to go create our main tab view. And generally, I just like to delete this content view right off the bat. I don't even bother renaming it because ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm just going to create a new file. I'm going to call it main tab view. And again, remember, we are just trying to build this bottom tab components right here. We're trying to build out the scaffolding for that. And that is pretty easy to do in SwiftUI. If you've ever done UI kit before, you would probably remember just how much involved it is creating a UI tab bar controller. In SwiftUI, we just declare a tab view and we're good to go. And so in this situation, we have 5 tab items. Let me open up our design file again. So we have 5 tab items, one for updates, calls, communities, chats, and settings. And generally in situations like this, I just love to use enums to represent tab items. So I'm going to extend the main tab view. I'm going to create a private enum in it called tab. Okay. And then we're going to, okay, let's see. We have 5 cases. We have one for updates, calls, communities, chats, and settings. So we're going to say case updates, calls, communities, let's see, chats, and then we have settings. Pretty sweet. Also, let's just put something here so we can see what we're working on. So the first one is called updates. So let's just call it updates. And the second one is called what? Calls. The third one is communities. Communities. The fourth one is chats. And the fifth one is settings. Okay, that looks pretty solid. Let's resume our Xcode preview and see what that looks like. Well, it's yelling at us. I'm not sure why. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Honestly, it's always fun to like do things like this during the tutorial. So you see like how, everybody's human. You forget things all the time. And in this situation, it's yelling at me because content view no longer exists because we just deleted it, of course. So I'm going to just paste in the main tab view here, which is what I want anyways. And then I'm going to resume my preview. And looks like we are good to go. Now, the bottom tab bar exists here. It's just not visible yet, and we'll fix that in just a minute. But if you click on this imaginary bottom tab items, you can see it changing. Now, to fix that, I would just like to create a representation, something that maps the tab items to like the icons. So from our design here, if you go here, it looks like we have an image, and then we have a title underneath the image. So we need something for title and something for images. So I'll create a computer property called icon inside of our tab. And it's just going to be a computer string, and then I'm going to switch on it, let Xcode do its thing, and for updates, I'll come back to that. I'm actually just going to copy this. Actually, you know what? I don't even need to do that. And I'm just going to do one for title. So I'm going to say file private var title is going to be of type string as well. But instead of switching on it, I'll just return raw value dot capitalized. And I'm going to fix, the reason it's not representing raw value right now is because I need to make sure the tab is of type string. So the enum type is just a string. All right, so that gives us the title for our tab items. Now, let us get these icons. We're going to be using SF symbols, which to pull up SF symbol in Xcode, all you need to do is Command Shift and L. And for the first icon, we are going to, for updates, we're going to look for something that has a circle in it because the updates icon sort of has like the circular dashed icon. So I'm going to look for circle, dashed, let's see. I think this one gets the job done. Yeah, looks pretty close. Okay. So we're going to return that for updates. For our calls, we're going to just return phone. And again, I'm getting the phone, the phone icon from SF symbol. It's literally just called phone. If you type in phone, you would see it right here. Sometimes it takes a second for it. Yep, right there, phone. Yep. And then for communities, I am going to return person. .3, I think that looks pretty close. And again, Command Shift and L to pull up SF symbol, person.3. Yep, this looks like, yeah, I'd say so. That looks pretty close. Now for chat, let's see. We're just going to use message on SF symbol, and settings, we're going to use gear. Gear, like Meta Gear. There we go, right there. Okay, that looks pretty close now. Now we need to bind this to each of our individual tab items. And the way to do this is actually pretty straightforward. We have a modifier called a tab item. We apply that across each individual tab screen in our tab view. And the way we do that is we just say tab item. And then for this, we have an image and we have a text. So I'll say image, and then I'll use the one that has the system name constructor, and I'll say tab.update.icon. Clean. And then I'll say text, tab.update.title. Super clean. Okay, look at that. It's starting to come together. And now I'll do the same thing for the other guys. So I'll say for calls, I'll say tab item, and we have image, system name, tab.calls.icon, and same thing for the text. I'm going to say tab.calls.title. Okay. Yep. Now to speed up this process, I'm just going to copy and paste this a couple of times. So we're going to do that for the communities. We're going to do that for the chats, and we're going to do that for the settings. For the communities, we're going to change it to tab.communities because that's the representation. We're going to do the same thing for its title as well. For chat, we're going to change it to chat and the title to chat as well. And then for settings, we're going to change the tab items to settings and the text to settings as well. And now we have a beautiful looking multi-tabbed application. Okay, I think that matches the design right now. The next cause of action for us is let's run this and see what it looks like in an actual simulator. So let's pull up our simulator and look at that. Boom. I think that looks pretty good. And when we close it, we have our app icon. Okay, we're making great progress here. We are making great progress. The next thing I'd like to do is I would like to have some sort of a placeholder for each of these tab screens. And so the way to do that is I'll just create a, just a basic function. Call it, let's see, private func. Let me create a little bit of space between this and the tab enum. I'll just call it placeholder item view. And it's just going to take in a title, which is of type string. And we're just going to, return some view. So what do we want? We want a text that has a title, And we're going to replace that with placeholders. So we're just going to say, let's see, we're going to do instead of text components, we're going to say placeholder view, placeholder view, placeholder view. And we're going to do it across each individual tab items. Okay. And let's stop our simulator and run our Xcode preview instead. Look at that. Let's change this to large title for our placeholder items view. Okay, that looks pretty good. Ideally, what I would like to do is make this bottom tab bar non-transparent, which is, it's called opaque. And the reason for that is because right now you can't see it, but let's say, for example, I embed this in a scroll view and throw a VStack here. And then let's say this is our title, but let's put this, let's repeat this a couple of times. So let's do it for each 12, let's say 120 item, right? And now let's throw our title in there. Now, if you see that, you could see it's opaque. It's not, I mean, it's not opaque. It's transparent. And I don't really like the transparent bottom tab bar style. And the actual WhatsApp application doesn't have a transparent bottom tab bar. So we're going to fix that. And to do that, we'll have to use a little bit of a proxy settings, kind of like closer to UIKit. If you've done UIKit before, I'm sure you've done this a couple of times. And so we're just going to create a function called make tab bar opaque. And we're going to create an appearance from UI tab bar appearance. UI tab bar appearance, we're going to initialize it. We're going to say we want the appearance to configure to be opaque. So we say configure with opaque background. It does exactly what it says. It's basically going to make our bottom tab bar opaque. And then we want to use UI tab bar appearance and change the standard appearance of our proxy to be this new appearance that we just initialized, which is the opaque appearance. We're going to do the same thing for this, but for the scroll edge appearance. So that way it has that line separator that we like. Okay. And now we're going to do that upon initialization. So we need to create an init block here, create a little bit of spacing, and we'll just call our make tab bar opaque function. And let's see, look at that. You could tell the difference in that. And if you doubt it, let me run it on a simulator and show you the difference. So let's run it first without being opaque. Look at what it looks like. You know, it changes like that. And generally, I'm just not a fan of that style. It works sometimes, but in the case of a WhatsApp clone, the WhatsApp app looks more like this. So let's see. There we go. That's more like it. All right, let's make this placeholder views a little nicer. They kind of look ugly right now, and there's really no reason for us to, have it be ugly. So let's just, embed this in a ZStack. And let's just make, actually, no, we don't even need to embed it in a ZStack. We could just change the background color, just add a frame and height to it. Just make it bold. And then add a frame with a max width of infinity. And then add another frame with a height of like 120. And let's change the background color to be green. So green, the opacity of like 0.5. I feel like that looks better. Let's stop our simulator. There we go. Okay, now that looks a little more filled in. It gives us a better view of what's going on. Alrighty, let's run our application. Make sure everything is still working. It looks like it. So we have our bottom tab bar components, the scaffolding for that built out. We have our assets imported. We have our app icon created, and we are done for this episode. In the next couple of episodes, we're going to be building out the scaffolding for each individual tab screens. So for example, when you're in the update screen, the actual UI components for that. And when you're in the call screen, the UI components for that. And for example, like you can see in the design here, when you're in the chat screen, we have a list of chat items. And so we're just going to be spending the next couple of episodes building out those components before we connect our application to our backend. Please check out the previous video again if you want to see a better demo of what we're going to be building throughout this entire series. Hopefully you have some fun. Thank you for joining me. I'm out.